George Floyd was laid to rest in a private funeral in Houston, but not before 6,000 people came to pay their respects as peaceful protests continue throughout the country. What do you make of what's happening at this extraordinary moment? Are you hopeful that we can make real reform happen in this country, finally?
Well, you know, Whoopi, I am hopeful. Look, I think that the unrest that we are seeing across the country, echoing the last words, the last words of George Floyd, "I can't breathe," are words that have echoed across not just the country, but the world. And it comes on top of the killing of Breonna Taylor, on top of the horrific lynching we saw of Ahmaud Arbery, and then on top of the just widespread economic devastation. More than 42 million people are unemployed right now. More than 100,000 people have died from the coronavirus pandemic. Many of those deaths, Whoopi, many of those jobless are Black and brown people in this country. So none of this is happening in a vacuum. But I'm hopeful because, as Vice President Biden says, you know, the wound, we actually have an opportunity to treat the wound this time. We cannot allow it to just scab over. And we're looking forward to doing that work and helping to treat the wound.
Okay. All right, Symone. So Trump held a roundtable with law enforcement officers praising the job that they're doing and saying there would be no defunding or dismantling of the police. Now, you and I both know he's using the idea of defunding to confuse and scare Americans. Anybody with a brain can see that. But do Democrats need to clarify the message and really get the word out that that is just baloney before he weaponizes it and hurts the Democrats, in the election? What do you say to that?
Well, look, first, I think it's important to reiterate that Donald Trump has no credibility here. Zero, none. He is a liar. He has not been a good faith actor. And he wants to talk about the First Step Act. He has yet to allocate 1 penny from his budget to the First Step Act. So it's all just lip service. But the other point is that we are not going to play Donald Trump's game. We've been saying this from the beginning. Democrats should not play Donald Trump's game. And I think the media, frankly, has a responsibility here. They cannot just parrot what Donald Trump says. Democrats in the House have put forth, and the Senate, frankly, I know you had Senator Harris on earlier this week, they have put forth a bill that has started the beginning of a process. There are many of the things in that bill that Vice President Biden has spoken about over the last couple of weeks, banning chokeholds, giving the Department of Justice subpoena power and pattern of practice investigations to investigate police departments. Like, the list goes on, collecting data. And that is where the conversation is, and Republicans have yet to weigh in on that conversation. So I think what Donald Trump is doing is an attempt to distract us from the actual things that are happening in America, the pandemic that he's bungled, the fact that he has not exhibited any leadership given the unrest in this country. And we are not going to play his game, and I encourage other folks not to do so either.
Hi, Symone. So President Trump is running on being the law and order president, which has been a long theme of the Republican Party going Nixon. But you also, my prompter went out, so let me just ask you another question. So right now, Vice President Biden is surging in the polls, and he's doing extremely well, and he's up above 50%, which is more than Hillary Clinton ever got to. As you know, and I know, it's a long time between now and Election Day. How do you see Vice President Biden pivoting on Republicans doing this law and order messaging?
Well, look, I think we have to look to folks like General Mattis, General John Kelly, General Colin Powell, and the comments that they have had over the last couple of weeks. And Donald Trump, again, is not a good faith actor here. As he was talking about being a law and order president and saying he stands on the side of peaceful protesters, there was a split screen of peaceful protesters being gassed, tear gassed by the United States military on the streets of America. That is not who we are, and I frankly don't think that's who we want to be. And that's why you've seen folks like Mattis and Colin Powell speak out. Look, I think what Vice President Biden is doing and will continue to do is to lead on this issue. He's not going to get caught up in platitudes and, fancy sound bites. He's going to lead. He's going to talk about the issues, and he's going to give folks a roadmap on how we move forward in this country. We believe that Donald Trump has abdicated his position of leadership. While Vice President Biden was out touring the unrest that happened in his own city, just a couple miles from where he lived in Wilmington, Delaware last week, when Donald Trump, he was in a bunker. okay, hiding in a bunker. When Vice President Biden went and spoke to the nation and was calm and empathetic and spoke to the pain that people were feeling, Donald Trump couldn't even utter George Floyd's name, let alone speak to the unrest that has gripped the country. So, you know, where Donald Trump isn't going to lead, it's okay because Joe Biden will fill that void, and he is ready to be president. So that's the message that we're going to take on the campaign trail. But I think Donald Trump is doing himself a disservice here. I mean, and it's evident. I mean, long-standing Republicans, folks are speaking out. People who said they would never speak out before. Mattis said he was going to stay quiet, that he wasn't expecting to come out and say something this early. But Donald Trump's own actions have brought folks whom people probably never thought would speak up or speak out against him to do so in this moment.